esta qué es? Elefantiosis, Milo. Una elefantiosis. La única parte que consigue van es la 21 en Corabaca.
We're high up in Colombia's Andes Mountains.
Ahí se vino, las fotos de Gabino.
And the banana crop is ready for harvesting.
Le ganó, Carlos Julio.
This farm is doing well.
Association.
But what's striking
Me dice cuando quiero ya.
is that farmer Orlando Hernandez can invite visitors to his property to see all this, especially us, a TV crew from Canada.
Hace unos años, por acá no puede venir.
A few years ago, barely anyone could come to these parts, not even many Colombians, and much less foreigners. Nowadays, people can come and live here, and it's making more of a business out of our farms.
Large parts of rural Colombia are experiencing a transformation from places of conflict to places of commerce. The peace deal negotiated with the FARC guerrillas is back on after it was narrowly rejected in a referendum. 5 decades of war with drug lords and paramilitaries appears to be ending.
Es una oportunidad que tenemos nosotros.
This is an opportunity we have. It's an opportunity we've been waiting for a long time.
La mejor paz.
Part of Hernandez's opportunity is working with a fruit processing company called Fandees. It's not a large company, but its business model has huge implications for Colombia's recovery. Everyone who grows the fruit or works here at the factory has been victimized by war. Everyone is working towards a second chance.
Perdón, ¿me puedo meter por acá? Necesito hablar con ustedes.
Jennifer Gonzalez is a social development leader at the plant in Bogota.
We link all these vulnerable people in the value chain to make that they have a stable income and different quality of life, like a better one.
Fandees was founded 14 years ago during the worst years of Colombia's violence. The conflict has killed more than 250,000 Colombians, ripped families apart, and in many places destroyed the rural economy. Coffee prices had crashed, and the company was formed to help farmers find markets for other crops, such as bananas. It also gave them an alternative to making money from growing coca, the plant used to make cocaine. A Canadian company, Level Ground Trading of Victoria, BC, was one of 3 original partners, and those Canadian ties to Fandees remain strong. More than half of the fruit that's cut and dried here is sold in Canadian grocery stores. Fandees is a profit-driven company, but it does social development work at the same time. One of the ways it does that is to use Canadian help. Fandees has a partner in the Canadian aid group CUSO International. It sends volunteers to Colombia, such as Tatiana Usme of Gatineau, Quebec. Usme is 28, and she's a victim of the Colombian conflict herself. Her family fled to Canada as refugees to escape the violence here when she was a teenager.
This is a hard story of my life. We moved out of the country because one of my uncles was killed. I took the decision to come back because I feel safe right now. I think and it's a good opportunity as an adult right now to come and connect with my roots.
1, 2, 3, compañera, la modelo, mire.
Her job with Fandees is to use the skills she learned at the University of Ottawa's International Development Program to make Colombia's rural farmers better business people.
What I can do for them is try to work in the leadership skills, try to work in the financial skills, because this is a company, this is an enterprise. They have also other producers.
Usme says the goal is for more rural Colombians to see a future on the farm and stay, rather than leave and live in poverty in the cities.
And for me, it's important to keep this connection because as Orlando, one of the leaders, says, we have to build a community.
Rural Colombia has suffered far more than the cities in the country's long conflict. In Bogota, The violent history of Colombia is drawn on the walls of buildings everywhere. But the main battlefield was in the countryside, fueled by drugs and waged by the army, guerrillas, and drug traffickers. The UN says Colombia has an astonishing 3.5 million displaced people, those who fled for safety in the cities. Many live in poverty in huge slums around Bogota and feel abandoned by the government, but a few have jobs at Fandees. In fact, everyone working on the company's production line is a refugee from the violence, and every worker is a woman.
Women are very vulnerable because of maybe violence in their houses, and we want to give them the opportunity to have a formal job.
Lucero and Soraya are both from Choco province on Colombia's Pacific coast. Black Colombians make up a disproportionate number of the country's refugee population.
Yo soy desplazada. Nos tocó salir de allá, dejar todas nuestras tierras.
At that time, the guerrillas came in and took the village we were living in and raped a lot of women. So because of that, we had to flee.
No me gusta hablar de esas cosas porque
I don't really like to talk about that time because it hurts a lot.
At 39 years old, Lucero is already a grandmother with 7 children of her own. Both women live in Cazuca, a huge slum outside Bogota, where there are few economic opportunities. The need to reintegrate displaced people into Colombia's economy is urgent. The peace deal with FARC sets aside money to help. But Fandees is doing that on its own. The women earn $250 US a month. It's good money by local standards.
I do have hope that this is all going to change and get better. I hope that my kids can go to university.
Colombia's transition from war to peace suffered a setback with the no vote in the referendum, and there's still uncertainty over implementing the peace deal. But Orlando Hernandez says he's hopeful the gains of the last few years will last.
Es una oportunidad porque es que la gente que va para la guerra.
The kids of the rich don't go to war. It's the poor people's kids who are fighting these battles. You can already see how calm it has been in the last few years, but it can still improve.
De ser nosotros siempre los que estamos abajo.
Colombia's long war was fueled by the drug trade, but it was stoked by rural poverty and a lack of economic opportunities. Fandees has discovered social development is also good business, and Colombia will need more of its companies to think the same way. Chris Brown, CBC News, near Ibagué, Colombia.